A dramatic climax to the backpacker murder investigation today with a man charged with all 7 serial killings.
Victorian James Gibson died from multiple stab wounds. His companion Deborah Everest was also stabbed and had a fractured skull and broken jaw. The others had been stabbed repeatedly and some had been shot. One victim was decapitated, others sexually assaulted.
G'day everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bushcraft and Camping Adventures. My name's Craig, and this is a fairly special episode. We're out here today in Belanglo State Forest, one of the most infamous forests in Australian history. Infamous for all the wrong reasons, of course. It is in this place that at least 9 people have been murdered, 7 of them by a serial killer named Ivan Milat. Now, this place is a pine plantation. Just north from where I am here is where the bodies were actually buried and left in a series of murders known as the backpacker murders. And I'm going to camp out here tonight alone, just me and my tent and the ghosts of the past. So this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a freaky one, and I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to talk about the history of the place. We're going to talk about the murders. And if there's ever a time for me to say this saying, it's now. So hold on tight. Here we go. And we're not only 5 minutes into our trek, and I've come across bones. Man, that is hilarious. Man, this is wild. This is wild. There's mushrooms out here. This is gorgeous. For a pine plantation, this is much more wild than I thought it would be. I've never been in a forest that's more quiet. There's one bird, that's all like, it's so quiet. I can hear my heartbeat. Like, not because I'm tired, because it's so quiet. That is surreal. More bones. I'm not sure what to make of all these bones, I'll be honest. There's kind of bones everywhere here. And I know wildlife dies and all that, but it's more than normal. I mean, that's the length of a femur. And here's another one. These are old bones too. So we're just looking for a spot to settle in for the night at the moment. We're just looking for some flat ground that can be flattened even more to put the tent down on and to relax on. That's the purpose right now. Man, check out some of these wombat burrows. They're off the chart. There's our buddy again. We have to make sure we clear a nice area out so we can see everything. Because there's our buddy the funnel web again. We have to make sure we clear a nice area so we can see everything coming to us. And I've seen a few of them around, so just got to have our wits about us. They're out of season anyway, but still, you know, don't tempt fate, especially in Belanglo. One of the things about this place that makes it so appealing to people who want to kill people, it's utterly remote and there's like no fences or boundaries. So you've got old growth national park with an interior of pine plantation, which is what we're in right now. And I can just walk anywhere I want. There's kilometers and kilometers and kilometers of just, I can drive anywhere I want and I can walk anywhere I want. It just makes it ideal for hiding evidence and for disposing of bodies. It really does. And the myth that surrounds this place now means not many people are coming out here to camp like I am. It's just so quiet. This is going to be eerie as crap at night. All right. So I think it's time that we set up camp now. There's a lot of mushrooms in this area too, edible mushrooms at that, so maybe we'll dip our toes in that water today. We need to set up camp because then we can explore and we can see our tent from a distance. At the moment, with the forest just looking all completely the same, once you walk 5 meters in one direction, it just like replaces any landmark that you may have had, like the rocks there. We need to set up tent so it can be visible from a distance. So we're also going to need to thin some of the bases of these trees. It'll give us some kindling and it'll also just clear our area. What a great place. To think that death has come here so abundantly. To think of the screams that would have filled this place. I mean, people got messed up here. I'm not even just playing, like they got messed up. I'll tell you about it a little bit later. And I'll tell you in detail. It's messed up. And you could have heard their cries from here. It's surreal, man. It's surreal. But we're here to camp out, and we're here to camp out alone. And you can't camp out alone without a tent and without a setup. So let's get to that part of the day. Pick the part of the forest where there's the least overhanging branches. I mean, you're not going to avoid it here. We're not getting wind today anyway. If we were, you wouldn't want to be in here because trees fall all over the place. But you just got to look around. So the tent's set up. Now, I would love to leave it like this, fly off. However, I know it's going to get to about 0 tonight. So I'm going to need all the insulation that I can get. We'll see how we go. Weather permitting, we'll do it. Now, I'm going to clear this area because this is where the fire is going to go, so it's going to be nice and close to the tent. It's a picture. This right here, this is what we call a witchetty grub. It's a small one. They get much larger than this. Now, obviously, being the vegetarian that I am, I'm not going to kill this guy, but they are good eating. The indigenous Australians have eaten this since they got here. You dig up enough of these, you can have yourself a meal. So I've just gone for a walk around here, and it's quite a lovely spot, but you just can't shake the history of this place from your head. You're always looking for some kind of, you know, something like bones. But the ways that I take the chance to tell you about some of the crimes that actually went down here. So Ivan Milat was a bloke that well, actually, there's some weirdness about me being out here today, and there's some synchronicities, and let's actually cover that now. So, as I've said many times, I live in west of Sydney. So the suburb where I live is the suburb that Ivan Milat was born in and lived. So that's a small little coincidence. The school I teach at, I'm not going to give names here because, you know, I don't want to expose my whole life. The school I'm currently a teacher at, supposedly, Ivan Milat went to that school too. So that's two weird things that relate to me, and it gets even deeper. The high school that I went to, I had a teacher there named Mr. Octoloni. Now, Mr. Octoloni had taught me the whole time that I was at this particular school. Mr. Octoloni's grandson was murdered by Ivan Milat's nephew here in Belanglo. So Ivan Milat murdered 7 people, at least 7. I'll go into details about his other possible crimes later. At least 7 have been found here. His nephew took his mate on his 17th birthday here and murdered him. And I was taught by the victim's grandfather. And it just keeps going. I've been planning this trip for only about a week, if I'm to be honest with you. And in that time, I've been trying to search old news clips and all sorts of stuff, you know, to put into the video. And now there's been no news on Ivan Milat for 20, 30 years. You know, the guy's been serving 7 consecutive life sentences, plus I think 16 years for rape and robbery or something along those lines. The day I go to start checking for the news stories about when he was arrested, 1 hour old the news was when I searched it, that Ivan Milat has terminal cancer and only has weeks to live. What are the odds of all these things syncing up? So my prediction is this: whilst I am here tonight, Ivan Milat is going to pass away. I'm not going to be able to prove it, but that's my prediction. Pretty out there. That's what I'm just going to say, is pretty out there. So let's dig a little deeper into the actual crimes that this man did. And before we do, there's a lot of theories that this guy's innocent. Do I buy into him? No, I don't believe he's innocent. I think him getting into the ears of people while he's in jail, saying I don't smoke, how could there be cigarette butts? Saying I don't drink, how could there be bottles of whiskey? Well, you know, when people enter these rage states or these highly impassioned states, it's not uncommon for them to split personality type situation. I'm not going to get too technical for you, but you know, maybe Ivan Milat, the day-to-day, doesn't drink and smoke, but maybe when he goes into killer mode, he does. But anyway, that's besides the point. This guy was twisted, man. This guy was freaking twisted. Now, I know you hear of serial killers where, you know, and we're going to go into detail here, so fair warning. You know, there's serial killers where they kill a whole bunch of people. And they just kill them. And that's bad enough, but it's not twisted. But you know what? I don't think there's anything worse you can do than to prolong someone's suffering. I think that's the worst kind of sicko you could possibly be. This guy, Ivan Milat, not only did his victims get found with multiple stab wounds, we're talking upwards of, you know, one of the victims had 35 stab wounds. I think it was 20 odd in the back and the rest in the chest. Ivan Milat was so sick, he would sever the spines of his victims. And now, that is established fact. What I believe he was doing, I believe he was severing their spines so that he could would slowly take his time to torture them to death. Now, it's known that when he was murdering and burying his victims, he would create campfires. You know, he would hang around for quite some time with the body. Now, we can't tell if the body was dead or alive at that time, but if you're going out of your way to sever the spine of your victims, there's a reason. Target practice. Target practice is a term that's been used to describe what he does. So let's just all imagine this for a moment. You're alone, you've been abducted. You've tried to hitchhike. This bloke's picked you up. You trust him. He brings you out here. He ties you up. And he severs your spine and you cannot move. You then have to sit there and endure the pain from the torture he's doing. He did not torture below the wound. He only stabbed and shot above. One victim had something like 5 or 6 gunshot wounds to the head. You can just imagine the body still alive, screaming, crying, leant up against a tree with Ivan Milat 20 feet that way, having shots. Severed their spine. If you've ever seen Wolf Creek, which I watched in preparation for coming out here just to spook myself out just that little bit more, in Wolf Creek, head on a stick is what they say. Head on a stick. As they sever the spine and the victim sits there and watches it happen. Dies powerless, can't do a thing. I mean, that's disturbing. One of the victims, the head was chopped off with a samurai sword. In a single blow. Bang, straight down, head chopped off. The head still hasn't been found. For all we know, he's got trophies. Had trophies. He's got to be one of the sickest serial killers that this country's ever had, and why not the world? I mean, when you're severing your victim's spines, you're completely lost the plot. You're no longer human at that point in time. Horrible. It's horrible. And it happened here. Maybe not here or there, but it happened in this forest. It's just not right. I think that's that. Now that's another wombat burrow, a big one. And I think there's actually a wombat in there. Can't quite tell. I don't want to bother it too much, but that's a massive burrow. Massive burrow. And just for the record, that's me. So I think I'm getting a wombat. So I want to make a tripod to cook with. So I'm just going to find some good pieces of wood to build the tripod with. So we have our wood for our tripod. Tell you what, the sort of bushcraft projects you could do here is just unlimited. The amount of resources. There's just fallen trees everywhere, man. Alright, now to make a tripod, it's really simple. You're just going to get 3 decent sized long sticks. I like to hold them about up here and chop up there. So we should get 4 long sticks out of these 2 logs. I might as well just do that. So let's cut this one about here. So I cut 4 just in case I didn't like one. Now the idea is you lie these down and then you bundle them up. Now in the wild you're going to have to find yourself some cordage. But look, we got paracord. So we're going to pull that out and use that. Straight in the ear. Okay, so this here is the skinny end. The fat end of the log's down there, so that's the floor end. This is the end that's going to be up into the actual top of the tripod. Now look, there is ways to do this properly, but at the end of the day, you just want to bind them and 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 bind them. And that's really all you're doing. So you go in between. You go around, you get every little log in every combination you can possibly imagine. Do an overhand knot, nothing fancy, and I'll just do it again for good luck. Doesn't have to hold any much, it's just got to hold a grill. That's it. So the sight's coming along. Alright, so I've got myself a new grill, just out of necessity, because I really didn't like how the other one was looking. It was all crappy and done. That was only a cheap one anyway. Now I've also bought 4 keyring holder things, put keys in it. I'm going to thread them through my grill like that, and then I'm going to hang it with the chain. So the way you start this is you get an extra ring holder, key holder, and you thread it through the one that's going into the grill. That allows you to create a space a lot easier than a fingernail or something else can. Then coming from the top, as you can see, that's on top, you use that gap to thread it over. Okay, so we've got 3 on. Now we're just going to put the last one on, so we open the gap. Push it through. Pull, 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 pull. That's now on. Then we get this. Create the gap and we pop it off. Done. Now, on to stage 2. Okay, so what we have to do, we've fitted the 4 ring pulls on now. We pull them through. This one linked through the top, this one linked through the bottom, and we pull them up, hold them together, and we build a pyramid. Find the center link. Ha! Center link. Okay, that's good. Now, hold them all together. Okay, link them all together on the one ring pull. That's it. Now pull it through. Look at that. I haven't chopped anything. There's been no chain chopped. And it's hanging even. So we carry this over. Now this is not bushcraft. This is campcraft. And that's why I do bushcraft and camping. You need modern stuff for this. All we've got left to do now is to pull this. Done. Look at that. What more do you want? Okay, time to start the fire. So we lay the pine cones down. Alright, so you put them in the middle like so. Okay. Well, there's a turn up for the books. Okay, so that's been a problem, so I've moved up to dried ferns. Let's see if that will have a desired effect. I have to go keep looking. Okay, so I just drilled down into this just for an experiment to see if it was fat wood, and guess what? It is fat wood. So fat wood forms when a stump is left in the ground and nature and the soil and the roots just keep pumping resin into it, and it's very flammable. So that's fat wood shavings. Let's see if that works. It's worked. So you saw me struggle a little bit there, and that happens sometimes. So that's why you got to be smart. You got to look around. You got to know your options. The fat wood was a winner. So well done, us. This is a good little breaking in of the grill, if you will. Get a bit of heat on it, burn off any toxins or anything that might be on there. And that fire is going to reduce down nicely. We use no artificial fuel in that at all. And look how big and bright that fire is. It's because it's pine, so it burns bright and it burns fast. But because of the sap in there, it burns all right. But I don't think we'll run out. I think we'll be right. Now you can make of this whatever you want. But before I was out looking for wood, and I distinctly heard, and I'm not making this up. I'm really not making this up. Like, I distinctly heard a female voice kind of screeching out, "Don't." Mosquito. Like, whoa, the fuck? Okay, so that's weird. Anyway. And yeah, so I was out there and I heard a female voice screeching out, "Don't!" Like, don't! I stopped to listen to see if it would go again, and if it did, my camera was ready. And it didn't. It was one off. Don't! Don't! Kind of like an irritated don't. There's no other conversation, there's nothing. If that was real, there would have been follow-up sounds, or at least something. So that happened. Well, this is a pain in the ass. I forgot that I had stored my long johns in my cooking pot. And I'm like, what's that smell? I can smell something. And I opened my cooking pot. I've turned my long johns into char cloth. Can I use this now? Is this now bushcraft? I don't know. I don't know. Seriously, put what you think. Like, seriously, put what you think. Is this bushcraft? So it's just gone dark now. Still a little bit of light left, but not much. Just gonna have to keep one ear open all night for the wombats just over there. Because whilst I've never seen one, I also know that they can be mean. You know, did you know they're on a danger scale of animals? When it comes to in zoos and in like confined areas, they're only one drop below a bear and a tiger. They're only one step below them as far as danger in zoos goes. So I'm just making some sweet potato mash, actually. So I guess this is where the scary part kicks in, right? You know, when Milat buried his victims, he always did it in a very specific way. It's really bizarre, and it really makes me wonder what was going through his head. He would always bury his victims face down, with their hands behind their back, and then he would build a pyramid over their body with sticks and ferns, and that's how he'd find them. That's how he'd leave them. And so you'd just find a body underneath a pyramid of debris. There we go. So I've made a bit of sweet potato mash. Cheese and butter. Oh, so much cheese. So I've got on the fire there some Lactarius deliciosus. Deliciosus. So you can see they're slow roasting. Lactarius deliciosus. The saffron milk cap mushroom. Picked a big one, picked a few small ones. Alright, well, so far we haven't been visited by the ghost of Ivan Milat, but we have heard some funky things. The gunshots that I heard about an hour ago, they were definitely pretty funky. And the female's disembodied voice I heard before. But apart from that, I think it's time to crash out. It's about 10:30 now, and beautiful full moon out. I think it's about time we call it for the night. So we will see you, unless we have some kind of incident, in the morning. Well, we're into day 2 here, and it's the morning after now. An interesting evening. A few gunshots off in the background, and I heard that voice again, but I'm assuming it's some kind of bird or something. It sounds like, I don't know. It's probably some kind of animal. So we got the morning fire going. All I needed to do was just get more fat wood from that little stump and fire that up, and that's going, no problems at all. We've dry smoked some mushrooms and bananas on the grill, and those bananas have gone down a treat. They're really good dried, and the mushrooms themselves will bring them back to life. So we're going to be eating some forage food today. I know the mushrooms that I found are 100% safe, as I showed you last night. So we're going to be having some of those today. And we got a soup, and we got all sorts of good stuff. We got halloumi, and you know, morning camping is pretty much what I'm eating for breakfast. So it looks like we survived Belanglo. Belanglo solo. Nice. A little chain grill has worked absolutely fantastically. That's a good addition to the kit, that. That's the morning for us. It's about a grave-sized hole. Okay, so we have the mushrooms that we foraged earlier, and I've chopped it up, and as usual when I cook I had a spill, so I've lost most of it. Seriously, I'm hopeless. Wow, that's delicious. They are really good. Just cooked in butter and salt. Lactarius deliciosus indeed. Very nice. Haven't tried them before. Well, that's good. Look at that butter just dripping off. That's really, really good. Like there's a nuttiness in there. The butter's helped a lot. But they're just really nice mushrooms. No wonder everyone goes out scavenging for them. They're awesome.
Whoa. That mushroom's gone to my head.
Baby. Well guys, I think that pretty much wraps this trip up. We didn't get scared, we didn't get killed by the ghost of Ivan Milat. But at the same time, we got some cool stuff. We found some bones and heard a weird freaking disembodied female's voice. I can still hear it in my head, man. Don't. Also foraged for some mushrooms. And actually a really nice time. So don't fear the Reaper, guys. Belanglo is a nice place to be. Don't let its past cloud its future. It's really nice. I'll be coming back here for sure. Maybe with some of the boys. So hope you enjoyed this. I hope it turned out the way I wanted it to. I'm going to pack up now. And then hit the tracks and get home. Alright guys, thanks for watching. See you next time. Take it easy.